Yeah. I started at playing at 11 years old, and I quit wrestling, and I quit baseball, and I quit football, and I quit everything, and I just sat in my basement and practiced like a crazy man. And I had some really good teachers. My first teacher was a guy named Jim Holland, who taught me, real proper technique, which was cool. It wasn't just like play a beat. He taught me how to hold the stick, and the most important thing he told me was the stick is an extension of your arm. So if you have a stick, it should just be like one big arm.
Yeah.
Never hold this way or this way. So things like that really stuck in my head. And then I went to my drumming idol was Joe Franco, and I studied with him for 5 years. And then Ralph Humphrey from Frank Zappa's band, and Don Famularo, Al Miller, Rod Morgenstein, Tommy Aldridge from Ozzy, and Casey Sherrill, of course, who we both know. Yeah. Great drummer. And Frank Belushi, Jim Chapin. So I was fortunate enough to live in New York, where a lot of these guys lived, and they also would come to teach. So as I grew up, there was a lot of drum clinics that I would always go see, and it was really rich in music, the area in New York. So it's cool. As far as influences, Keith Moon got me into drumming. I saw Tommy, the movie Tommy, and I saw him kick over his drum set, and I was just like, wow, I want to do that. So I say Keith, and I heard the album called Quadrophenia. And I kept hearing the toms, and it stuck in my head. Neil Peart, big influence, but the biggest influence is Terry Bozzio from, of course, Zappa's band.
Yeah.
So Bozzio, Moon, Joe Franco, and so Phil Collins is a big influence too. Phil Collins, Genesis years.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
Some amazing stuff going on.
Oh yeah. Playing and singing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I can't do that. Could you play and sing?
Just a little.
Yeah? It's impossible. I go, I can't separate. Unbelievable. Yeah, playing with Yngwie was an experience, of course. It's amazing to play with him on stage. And you do like a 2.5-hour show with Yngwie Malmsteen. And for a drummer, it's perfect because his whole saying is, more is more. Give me bigger fills. Macaluso, play bigger fills, longer fills. So it's like a drummer's dream because you get to do all your crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And he loves that stuff. And there's always big shows, and he's an incredible guitar player. So that was a big experience to get that gig. Because I remember when I was a kid, I used to walk around with the Walkman, remember the Sony Walkmans? And I was in 11th grade, and I remember walking around, 10th grade, walking around with the album Marching Out playing, and I used to listen to, this guy Yngwie's great, man, great. And then one day, I get a call, and this guy goes, this is Yngwie J. Malmsteen. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, whatever. And I was going to hang up the phone. And it was, And he heard the first Ark album. And he said, I like your playing on the Ark album. Come down to Florida next week. So the next week I flew down to Florida, and I started playing with him. Did a record with him. But it didn't really hit me who I was playing with until we were about to go on tour. And we were rehearsing, and we did an album. And the tour bus pulled up, and they pulled out all of Yngwie's amplifiers. And just to see his name, Yngwie J. Malmsteen, written on the side of the amplifier, and it was all broken and chipped apart like they've been everywhere. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's Yngwie, the guy I used to listen to when I was a kid. And, it really hit me. It was a great experience to play with him, man. Brie was cool. Brie was really cool. And that was a great tour. I just wish it lasted longer. We didn't do that many gigs. We did some in Europe and some in America. And great to play with Marco Sfogli.
Italian guitar player.
Yeah, great friend of mine from Napoli. Amazing guitar player. So the Brie tour was real cool. It was a real tight band, and everybody got along, and it was really fun to play, man. TNT I played with, which was cool. But
is there any particular gig or something you did that you remember?
Yeah, doing the first Ark record. The reason we put together Ark, because me and the guitar player were both frustrated. I was playing a lot of basic, good bands, Riot and stuff, but it was a lot of basic stuff, and I really wanted to stretch out. And he was playing in Conception, and he really wanted to stretch out and do something different. So we both quit our bands, and we started Ark. And the rule was there is no rules. So the first album, you know, I was doing double bass, you know, and he's doing flamenco guitar, and weird stuff. And I remember just doing the record and saying, "You're not supposed to do this. This is not right, but it sounds cool." So like breaking the rules type of thing.
Yeah.
So that was like something that really changed my life. And then we did Burn the Sun, and that was a real cool album for me. Making that record was great. Working with Tommy Newton, producer from he did Halloween, and you know, and this, you know, it was a cool experience. But as far as gigs, yeah, there's a ton of gigs that stick out in my mind. Good and bad, man. But
what's the worst situation?
The worst gig I ever did? There's a couple of them. There's a lot of them, actually. Okay, do you know what Simon Says is?
Yeah, it's a...
It's a game,
yeah.
like a kid's game. Like, Simon Says, touch your shoe. And you touch your shoe. And then you confuse somebody, go, touch your shoe. And the guy touches your shoe. You're out. Anyway, this is like Spinal Tap. I was playing with this band, the Good Rats, actually. It was Joe Franco's old band.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was me and the singer, and they still called it the Good Rats. Anyway, we go to do this gig, and we go upstate New York, and the place is packed. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. But I didn't realize we were opening up. We were the opening band for a Simon Says competition.
Really?
Yeah. So we played a gig, and all of a sudden this guy comes out, and he's like, to thousands of people, he's like, Simon Says, touch your nose. And I go, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm doing this. And then another great gig was I played at a chili eating festival. So people he's making
Wow.
chili. Yeah. Making chili, and it was like this big festival, and like, you know, nobody cared about the band. It was what kind of chili wins the competition. And I remember being over here playing this double bass stuff, and a lady next to me going, please quiet down, I'm trying to eat my chili. So there's been some...
Did you have some?
No, I hate that stuff. But there's been some crazy gigs. There's also some great ones, but those are two ones that stick out in my head as pretty bad. First, I concentrate on... no matter what, if it's prog or if it's metal or if it's funk or whatever, I try to make get a basic feel. Main thing is a groove. Even if it's crazy stuff, I want to find that groove where people can still feel it, you know? So if they play me a song and it's all technical, I try to make it where you can still feel a beat, not just like, you know, odd times everywhere. And the same is with like a funk artist or something like that. I try to not... You know, if I'm playing with a funk band, I don't want to do too much double bass. I try to approach the song, you know, and if I want to show myself, I'll use a lot of hi-hat work, you know, or if it's a metal thing, I use double bass, but I try to put my own system in. Okay, the way I would approach it is, the main thing is groove and playing for the song, but I try to make myself heard, so people know it's me.
Get your voice out.
Yeah, people know it's me. I got my own technique on a hi-hat or a ride cymbal or... double bass, and I try to put myself into every song I do, you know? That's why when I do some sessions and people go, play exactly this, you know, I'm kind of like, well, why don't you program it and call me tomorrow. Tell me how it went. No, I'm only kidding, but I just try to put my own voice into the music. It's important. And it's also important to play for the song, you know. You can't always put the big drum fills in and all that stuff, because, you know. So just playing for the song, grooving, and putting my own voice would be the three things I do when I go in the studio. Yeah. Start off playing to the click. You have to play to a click, especially in today's world, because everything is recorded in Pro Tools, and it's all done to grids, and very important. And the radio and music, everybody now is used to hearing things so perfect. So you really have to be able to play that, or even to the average listener, it's going to sound wrong if you're playing kind of sloppy. So you have to really be tight as a drummer. So I would play as much as you could with the click track. And then also to get hired, the producer will love you if you can really nail the click. You know, he'll call you back because that's so important. That's one of the main rules. Be able to really, and be able to groove with the click. Not just play right on it, play behind it, play above it, learn how to play with it, you know, so it sounds natural. So for recording, that's the most important thing. Come on a Piece, you know Come on a Piece, the drummer I played with.
Oh, yeah.
He told me a long time ago that nobody's going to find you in your basement. So get out and play. Even if it's a chili eating festival, get out and play, because you never know who's going to be there. And nobody's going to find you practicing in your basement. So you got to get out and play as much as you could. It's the only way to meet people and advance in the music world, you know. And just be cool to people. Don't be a snob, and don't you know, don't act like you're something you're not, and just be cool and you'll work. You know, just play good and just get along with people.
Yeah.
I think one of the main things is, for a drummer, is to play all different styles. Don't just play metal, don't just play jazz, don't just play straight rock. You have to play all different stuff to work. You know, that's important if you want to make a living out of it. And all different styles. And if you want to teach, which is good, because teaching is a great thing for you to learn, and it's also a great way to make a living. So you got to be able to read and write. So it's important to be able to read and write so you could actually teach students, you know, the correct way. But yeah, and just rock. Ciao ragazzi. I'm gonna do a little section here on linear drumming and also odd time rhythms. And first thing I want to show you is some linear playing. And I use this a lot in my drumming. What linear is, nothing touches at the same time. So you're never going to do this or this. All separate. Everything's separated. So I'll play some linear beats first. All right? Kind of funk-oriented. Funk metal. Fettle, I don't know. So we're going to try some of this here. So basic linear beat. Now make it a little more fancy. Okay, that's the basics of linear. Now I'm gonna play some linear beats into some linear fills. Okay, once is a mistake, twice is Prague. I meant that. That's a little joke. Okay, so that's basic linear. I use a lot of open style, which means my left hand plays on a hi-hat, and I also use a floor tom, or I have a gong bass drum that I keep on my left side, all right? So it's cool because you can do all this lefty stuff over here, and the right hand can go all around the drum set, and you can really get some cool patterns. easy linear is kind of cool. You just take the like Walk This Way beat from Aerosmith. It'd be like, and now you make it linear. I could take my right hand on different drums and cymbals and get different sounds like this. Kind of a cool one. Or Immigrant Song, Led Zeppelin. Actually, the beat is, but I'm going to do it all with the foot. Cool one. So I'm just filling in the space with my right hand when I'm not playing with the bass and snare. Now we're going to do an odd time linear. 9 is a cool phrase. 9, it's obviously 8 and 1. Or you can count at 9. Or you can count at 3, 3, 3. Depends on the rhythm, how you break it down. So this one is something I was going to put on the last Ark album, but we never did it. So you'll never hear the song, so might as well play the beat. So it's in 9/8. You got this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that would be a linear odd time. Now, a lot of my playing, I use odd rhythms and odd times. I use 7 a lot. Now, a cool way to play a 7 is by using your basic rudiments. You're going to use 2 paradiddles and a paradiddle-diddle. So, actually I got this from Phil Collins. I borrowed it, or stole it, either way. So it's gonna be paradiddle, 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 diddle. I'll play it on the ride. Another way you can do it, you can do paradiddle, paradiddle, right, left, left, right, left, left. Cool one. This one's cool. I'm keeping a steady bass drum with the same rhythm on top. I'll do the first one. Paradiddle, 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 diddle. Okay, you get the idea. Now, a lot of stuff I use is paradiddles, paradiddle diddles, a lot of rudiments on the kit. These are cool when you do open style. So I'm going to show you some different things I do with rudiments, but playing them as beats, open style. Basic paradiddle, starting with the left. I'm going to mess around a little bit with this, so paradiddles, paradiddle diddles, mixed up a bit. mixing it up. Okay, another thing I use a lot is hi-hat rolls. Double stroke rolls on a hi-hat. Kolpi-dolpi. This is cool because you can really play busy on the hi-hat and you don't have to play so busy on a drum set. So the band, if it's not a metal band, you know, you're playing like a funk thing, the band never gets annoyed because this is kind of a light instrument, you know? So the basic roll pattern will be double stroke roll. Put it into a beat. Another cool one is just 6-stroke roll on the hat. Put it into a beat. Same thing, left hand on the snare. Now, a lot of music I play, I like to really backbeat the snare, hit the snare pretty hard. It feels better for the groove, I think, when you really got a solid snare hit. So a little trick I use, I learned in martial arts, it's like when you throw a punch, you twist your wrist, and you get more power. So I do the same with my left hand snare drum. So I point the palm at my face, like you're talking to the stick, and I twist on the way down. It's like this, bam. So I don't really have to play up here to get the power. I could just, all right? So I'm gonna play a little bit for you and show you what I do with the snare drum. right, so little twist of the wrist. Little trick, all right? So I'm gonna do the same thing with the linear pattern. So when it's linear, the notes are more split, so it's easier to get the stick up here.